Hello viewers, welcome to Mixology. In this video, we'll try to get a clear idea about the classification of the plant tissues. Plant kingdom is made up of multicellular organisms. These cells with similar structure and specific functions are grouped together to form tissues. On the basis of the stages of development of these cells and the functions they perform, plant tissues are divided into two major categories: the meristematic tissue and the permanent tissues. Growth in plant happens in two stages. Firstly, by the addition of new cells, that is, the division of cells which happens in the meristems. Meristematic word is derived from the Greek word meristos, meaning divisible. This is the tissue which is made up of a young mass of immature and undifferentiated cells that remain young and divide throughout the life of the plant. When the meristems become mature and come out of the cell cycle and stop dividing, they form the permanent tissues. So, the permanent tissues do not divide at all. Depending upon the time of formation of the meristems, they can be categorized into either primary meristem or the secondary meristem. But based on their location, meristems can be apical when they are located near the tips of the roots and the stems, or also in the growing young leaves near the tips of the stems, as well as on the tips of the axillary buds. Secondly, the meristematic tissue can be lateral or the cambium type. This is situated below the bark and is responsible for the increase in the diameter of the stem. This lateral meristem of the cambium is present as ring or a part of a ring. In some monocots, there is the third type of meristematic tissue called the intercalary meristem. These meristems are left between the permanent tissues, so they are called the intercalary meristems. Next, let us try to understand the chief characteristics of the meristematic tissue. Each cell of the meristematic tissue, which we also refer as meristems, are small in size. The cells are usually cubical, polygonal, or spherical in shape. Nuclei are large and prominent. Since these cells are always dividing actively, that's why the nucleus must have a thorough control on the entire parts of the cell. The cell wall of the meristems are relatively thin. This helps in the easy division of the cell to form two daughter cells from a single mother cell. The vacuoles are almost absent because there is no time for the cell to mature and progress in the formation of a vacuole. The cells are tightly packed with almost no intercellular spaces. This too is due to the rapid and active multiplication of the cells, leaving no spaces in between, called the intercellular spaces. Since the cells are actively dividing, they keep on adding new cells to the plant body, which either increases its height or its depth or the thickness of the parts of the plant body. The new cells that are produced are next transformed into mature permanent tissues. So, the division of the cell does not take place throughout the plant body, but it occurs only in the meristematic regions. Now, let us look deeper into what happens when they transform from the immature to the mature cells. So, a permanent tissue is a group of cells in which growth has either stopped completely or at least for the time being. It is possible that in the simple permanent tissue, which is of the parenchyma type, they may sometimes revert back to enter into the meristems, but this is quite a rare case. The permanent tissues are made up of completely mature cells who have mostly come out of the cell cycle. They usually do not divide and they have a permanent structure as well as a permanent function. Now, categorically, the permanent tissues can be classified into two main types. The simple permanent tissue, which provides support and protection. So, under the simple permanent tissue, we have the protective of the epidermal tissues and the supportive or the ground tissues. Under the supportive tissues, we again have three different categories called parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. The next category under the permanent tissues are the complex permanent tissues, which are made up of two or more types of cells that are specialized to perform a common function. Here it includes the conducting tissues called the xylem and the phloem. These complex permanent tissues are also referred as the conducting tissues or the vascular tissues. They help to transport water and food materials throughout the plant body. That is why the name conducting tissues. In the next upcoming video, we will deal in details with the permanent tissues about its location, structure as well as its function. I hope you liked my video. Do not forget to give it a like, share it with your friends and subscribe to my channel if you still haven't done so. Thank you once again.